Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great live with Sean on Boxing. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about today. I'm going to keep it short but poignant. Feel free to tune in and watch, and we'll get back to you in a minute. Welcome back, boxing fans. So let's talk about obviously the biggest thing in the air right now, and that was the robbery of Oshaki Foster. Ended up losing his world title to Robson Kansikau. There's no way you can chop this up outside of it being a robbery. It is what it is. Obviously, for Robson Kansikau, congratulations goes out to him. He's now a guy who's fulfilled a lifetime dream. He's not only an Olympic gold medalist, but now he's a world champion. So congratulations to him. But with all the social media, and he's Portuguese, Brazilian, so maybe he doesn't have to worry too much about that. But obviously, the social media kickback is going to take a lot of the shine away from him, right? Obviously, the WBC should mandate a mandatory, because otherwise, what the fuck are you doing as a sanctioning body when you see a blatant robbery but you don't move forward? I heard some people talking about how probably the next scenario would be Kansikau rematching Navarrete for unification. Sure, for Top Rank, that makes a lot of sense, because obviously that's a much bigger fight and a unification fight. And then you could always have Oshaki Foster fight the winner of that in what inevitably would be a bigger fight. But if we just want to be fair, and the sanctioning body shouldn't worry about what Top Rank wants, the sanctioning body should do what's proper. And what's proper is mandating a rematch. Obviously, that's what should happen. But we'll see if it does. A situation like that, maybe Robson Kansikau will bring Oshaki Foster to Brazil so he can defend his world title at home in front of his people. That would be a big fight for obviously Brazil, right? A big world title fight. And we know Oshaki Foster is not afraid to go on the road to make fights. So it also probably would make it financially more viable as well. But we'll see how it unfolds. But this kind of leads into this topic today. Obviously, I know it's a robbery. You know it's a robbery. Anybody that actually is a boxing fan knows it's a robbery. ESPN even gave us a preview that it was going to be a robbery when they talked about what was taking so long as far as organizing the scorecards, and that all three of these judges didn't have much world championship experience. And then lo and behold, what happens? We end up getting one of the worst robberies I've seen for a long time. We've had quite a few robberies, but this one was pretty bad. So how am I going to pull it into this video? Well, I'm not saying it's Oshaki Foster's responsibility to be entertaining in the ring. He just needs to win. But with fighting a specific style, what you're going to do is you're putting yourself in a position where potentially this might happen, right? You're leaving room for the judges to take this out of your hands. He could have been more aggressive in that fight. He could have put his hands together more. He could have made more of an effort to, potentially put a beating on Robson Kansikau so that it would be far more clearly and convincing and obvious who won this fight. But because he chose to be very defense first and try to box a masterclass, this is what happened as a result. And the problem is, this is not amateur boxing. This is not the Olympics. We're not trying to score points so that we score points on rounds, and then that determines our 3-round fight. You got to get in quick. You got to throw a lot of punches. You got to make sure they count. No, this is the pros. In the pros, it's an entertainment sport. Obviously, winning is entertaining, but it's also a lot to do with how you win, right? We look at any sport around the world, whatever sport it may be. And I'm just going to use these analogies just to show you that sports entertainment is important, especially nowadays, where a lot of fans are more casual than maybe they were historically, right? Example. The Stanley Cup final was happening. Canada actually had a team, Edmonton Oilers, in the finals. Yet it wasn't on the CBC. the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, which when I grew up, my whole life, NHL finals were always on CBC. Everybody in the country could watch the NHL finals. Everybody in Canada was watching the NHL finals. But this year, maybe last year, maybe the last few years, I'm not sure because obviously I don't live in Canada, you couldn't watch it on regular TV, right? This is the new generation of place we're going. Like right now I'm watching Summer League basketball on NBA.com. You know, I pay for the app, so it's there on my TV. So right now I'm watching LeBron James' son make his debut. Yes, the game happened earlier, but I was sleeping. So now I'm watching it now just to see how Connect plays, because I have no fucking, I know LeBron James' son ain't going to do shit. He shouldn't be in the draft, but, you know, that's regardless of this, you know, they want to sign him, so they're free to do what they want. So there we go. And we'll see how this lives out down the road. But the point is, now we're buying apps. We're paying here, paying there, paying everywhere. I just bought HBO Go, right, which allows me to watch now HBO shows in Taiwan. So now I have Apple TV, Prime Video, HBO Go, DAZN, NBA.com, Disney, Netflix. That's 7 apps that I pay for. I don't have cable in Taiwan because why would I? It's all Taiwanese, Chinese TV. There's nothing interesting, you know, outside of being able to watch the Euros right now on Elta TV. That's the only benefit I could get, right? And even that, I have to pay extra money through my cable company to have that channel. So there's always another charge. There's always another cost. If you want people to continue to pay these costs, then you need to do something to grab their attention, right? That's just the way it is. People watch the WNBA now because Caitlin Clark was so good in college. People are curious about how she's going to do in the NBA or WNBA. She just had a triple-double today. The first rookie player in the history of the WNBA to ever get a triple-double. Congratulations to her. So those kind of performances are going to keep eyes on the W, right? We have dunk contests. Why? So that people watch the NBA. We have home run derbies because that's what people want to see. Excitement, right? Very seldom do they actually live up to expectation. But nonetheless, people want to see Judge and Ohtani get out there and fucking fire away home runs and see who's going to hit the most. Because excitement is important in 2024. Maybe more than it's ever been. Because now you have so much options of things to watch. You don't need to watch this. I don't need to pay $85 to watch a pay-per-view. There's a lot of other things on TV for me to watch now. When I grew up, you just had cable TV. You paid for cable TV. It was one cost that you paid. Boom. Maybe then you could get HBO and Showtime later on. So you had movie channels and networks. And then obviously you could pay for fights afterwards based on having those two add-ons. And then obviously it's moved to where we are today, where everything is an add-on. But we have so much TV now that you don't need to deal with watching something that you're not really interested in because it's the only thing that's on TV. When I grew up, literally that's what happened. You'd watch a TV show that you don't really like, but literally there's nothing better on, so you might as well watch it. So then you end up watching shows like fucking Full House or something of that nature. You know, Sunday cartoon, I can't remember the name, where this kid, Davy, and his dog, right? Very religious fucking show. I'm not religious. I only watched it because literally on Sunday, that was the only thing on TV in Canada. So now, as an athlete, if you want people to watch you, you want to get paid, you need to do that extra. You need to be extra, right? It's not just work where I have coworkers that are extra when they make posters for classrooms or do something else. Being extra is what's going to get you attention, what's going to get you paid, what's going to get you out there on a whole nother level, right? Some people will use all this for the same narratives they always do, but They're just being ignorant and they're ignoring the truth to the whole fucking point, right? If you want to be the star, you need to perform like the star. So let's get to this. I mean, make me want to watch. This is true more today than any time because most kids, most young people now, they're watching Twitter, YouTube more than they're watching TV. Most of the TV they get is from YouTube, and most of the clips they get is from Twitter. One of my South African co-workers, she does TikTok videos, and literally she will sing a song in the office, and I'm like, oh, blah blah blah, you're singing this song, and she's like, who? She don't even know who the artist is that sings the song. She only knows because it's being used in TikTok videos, and because it's popular, she knows it now in TikTok videos. Then I show her the real one, like Cisco was an example. Thong, the thong, thong, thong. She didn't know Cisco. She didn't know the real song. She only knew the version that was on TikTok that people were dancing to or doing something to. This is the generation of people that now are growing up and going to be the future viewers, the future content, users towards sports, TV, and everything else. So you want to make me watch, right? That's why boys, are all watching sexy girls twerk online, because never before has it been easier to be sexually stimulated than it is today, right? But let's move forward. So let's use Tank. Oh, let me change that. Why do I have that there? This is definitely not a football thing. Okay, there we go. So Tank Davis. Tank Davis is a guy that's a pound for pound great fighter, one of the best fighters in boxing today. Obviously, even though he's one of the best fighters in boxing today, hardcore boxing fans want to see him step up his level of competition to prove exactly how great he truly is. But to be fair, he doesn't really need to. He can continue to get paid, continue to be seen as a superstar, continue to talk over Twitter and social media, get more attention through that than he does through his boxing. Every 6 months, put on a pay-per-view fight, fill his pockets full of double-digit millions of paydays against unknown opponents that nobody cares about, except for, of course, this new generation of people that probably are more prone to just watch Tank Davis highlights when he scores a knockout and use that as a way to value him and judge him, not even based on actually watching real fights, which is why, of course, his pay-per-view numbers aren't as high as they could be, because a lot of people, they're just not paying because they're just not that interested. They're interested in him, but they're not interested in the card. They're not interested in the opponents. They're not interested in the 3 to 4 hours of sit-down couch time it's going to require to actually watch a pay-per-view. They want everything packaged, quick, and easy to digest. Tank Davis is great for that because inevitably he's going to have that ESPN highlight moment, right? And we know, thanks to Jordan, Vince Carter, and many others, that this is where a lot of people consume their sports, from ESPN Sports Desk. Literally, that's everything they know. They learn from basically watching short clips and highlights on a news show, because that way, instead of sitting around for hours and hours and hours, they can sit around for 30 minutes and find out everything, right? And then go out, have conversations with other people as if they actually know what they're talking about. I like Tank Davis, one of the most exciting boxers in the world, but I'm not a casual. I'm a hardcore fan who will pay and sit down and watch 4 to 5 hours of boxing in a row, all to see the final fight between Tank and whoever his opponent are. Obviously, I want to see him step up and face better opposition. It looks like the next opponent is Lomachenko. Great opponent. By and far, the best opponent Tank Davis has ever fought. It'll be a huge statement if he's able to go in there and stop Lomachenko. But you look at Tank Davis. What makes him exciting isn't specifically the way he fights in the ring, because he's not the most outgoing fighter. He doesn't throw a lot of punches. He's not consistently outlanding and out punching people. But his power is so phenomenal, it only takes one shot for him to win in spectacular fashion, which is the same reason why Deontay Wilder was so loved by many American boxing fans. Look at Lomachenko as an example, Tank Davis's next opponent. He went down under to face George Kambosos. He wasn't really given credit when he was supposed to fight Kambosos as his mandatory. He wasn't really given credit when he was supposed to fight Kambosos for unification, unified titles. And once again, he wasn't really getting credit for fighting George Kambosos coming off of a loss. But nonetheless, he did what he had to do. He went down under, faced George Kambosos, and did what no other fighter in boxing was able to do. He knocked George Kambosos out, left him groveling on the floor, and moves forward to what? Now a Tank Davis fight. Why is he getting a Tank Davis fight? A lot of that's because of this performance. The fact that people literally saw Lomachenko KO George Kambosos to become a two-time lightweight champion. He was exciting. His performance was exciting. People literally said this was the best Lomachenko has looked in years. Well, that may be because of the opponent, but people want to say whatever they want to say when they want to say it, regardless of the truth around it. Obviously, Lomachenko is not what he once was, but his performance was great. He did what he had to do. He was exciting, and he made the fight happen, and he got the result that he was looking for. So now, because of that, we're so much closer to potentially getting a super fight at the lightweight division between Tank Davis and Vasily Lomachenko. Something that Devin Haney wasn't able to do, something Lopez wasn't able to do, something Shakur hasn't been able to do. Why? Well, because they haven't been able to grab public's attention, grab Tank Davis and his team's attention to the point where they see it being a viable and profitable outcome. And really, that's the key thing behind this. If it makes money, it makes sense. As a hardcore boxing fan, I'm super excited about it. As a casual fan, even they're going to be more interested in this fight than they are about any other potential fight that's out there for Tank Davis. Does this mean that Lomachenko is the best opponent right now for Tank Davis? Probably not. But that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Teofimo Lopez, right? Another top-ranked fighter, a fighter that potentially is there for other big fights. Obviously, Top Rank is controlling 135 and 140 and has a lot of potential options, could even go up to 147 to become a three-weight world champion. He was given an easy opponent off of a list of three. He could pick whatever opponent he wanted out of the three of them. He chose this opponent. In hindsight, he probably should have chose Elvis Rodriguez. That probably would have given him the highlight reel knockout that he was looking for, because that's what this was. This was a showcase fight. That whole card was a showcase fight card. And literally, Top Rank was giving people teed up balls for them to hit home runs. And unfortunately for Lopez, he did not do that. Coming off of this fight, his opponent walked away with a lot more name recognition. People were very impressed with his toughness, how game he was, and how much he pushed Lopez. For Lopez, once again, he performed to the level of his opposition, which in this case was lower. And because of that, he's being criticized because he didn't do what boxing fans were hoping he would do, which was score a sensational knockout and make a big statement. Unlike the opponent on the undercard, Robson Ramirez, who did exactly that. He did what he was expected to do. He was given a game, but cherry pick opponent, and he got the KO victory. And obviously that helps set up big fights moving forward for him. For Lopez, now because of how underwhelming his poor performance was, they're talking about him going up and facing Howard at 147 pounds, which for many of us seems as if basically he's just being sacrificed, because it's not a fight that is going to garner a lot of attention. Howard's an unknown fighter who just won a world title. It's not a Terrence Crawford, even though it's at 147. But Terrence Crawford is a pound for pound great fighter who is already a Hall of Famer. Howard is an unknown fucking prospect who overcame the best opponent of his career to become a world champion and made a great statement in the fight. For Lopez, people were thinking about a Devin Haney fight. Obviously, that's off the table. People were thinking a Ryan Garcia fight. Obviously, that's off the table. People were thinking about a Tank Davis fight. Obviously, that's off the table. So then he finds himself in this position of who exactly can he fight? What fight's going to generate a lot of money and generate a lot of attention? If he would have went out there and scored a sensational knockout, things would be different. But unfortunately, he didn't do that. We potentially could have got an Isaac Cruz Lopez fight for unification. But Lopez didn't earn a fight with Ortiz. Right? Like, unfortunately for him, unfortunately for us, unfortunately for boxing, you need to perform. You need to make statements. You got to get rid of opponents that you're supposed to get rid of. Devin Haney. Devin Haney was on some people's pound for pound number 2 rankings based on beating George Kambosos, never stopping him, never being exciting in either one of those victories, and then being given a gift in a Vasily Lomachenko win, which most people saw as a robbery, felt that Lomachenko deserved the win, but was robbed on the cards. And let's not say robberies don't happen, because literally we just saw one today. Devin Haney did follow that up with a great victory and a very exciting performance, obviously against Prograis, which allowed him to do what? Cherry pick Ryan Garcia to try to become a pay-per-view star. Not fight for unification, not fight one of the other top champions in boxing, but to literally pick a guy he was supposed to look good against to help elevate his pay-per-view status so that potentially they could be talking about him and Tank Davis down the road. And now it would make more sense. But what happened? He spent more time on his ass, walked away from that fight far less marketable than he was before that fight. All to do what? Become more marketable. He took a risk, but unfortunately didn't perform. Ryan Garcia did perform. And that's why, even with everything that's going on, he's still a bigger name who people are interested in seeing fight sooner than later, right? Ironically enough, even with his 1 year suspension, even Devin Haney wants to wait around for 1 year to get a rematch with Ryan Garcia, because even he knows it's the biggest and best payday available to him. Whether he wants to get it in blood or get it in green, it's irrelevant. The truth is, we know why he's doing it, because there's no other fight that's going to pay him nearly as much money as that fight. Today, we had Shakur Stevenson, a pound-for-pound fighter, a guy I always rated higher than Devin Haney, a guy that I think maybe could beat Tank Davis, but the more I watch him, the more I second-guess myself. Today did the same thing he's constantly been doing. He underperformed against De Los Santos after talking a load of shit leading up to that fight. Talking about how he's going to destroy this guy. Talking mad cap, only to go out there and underperform. This time he hasn't said so much. But he's wondering why Top Rank can't get him the opponents that he wants. Because why would those opponents want to fight you? Are you bringing big bags of cash to the table? No. Do you have an exciting style that's going to make for an exciting fight? No. Are you potentially a guy that's going to make them look bad and beat them? Yes. So, while Shakur Stevenson obviously is a pound-for-pound top 10 fighter, the problem is he doesn't do what he has to do to make himself more exciting. The De Los Santos fight was one of the worst fights we've seen in years. This fight with Artem Delakian or Artem Hardatulian, however you say his name, once again, there were moments in the fight that were entertaining, but overall it wasn't an entertaining fight. He was being gift-wrapped a guy that he was supposed to look good against, right? To try to make a statement, to try to show you, oh, Frank Martin struggled with this guy, but I killed him. And he did beat him easily, far easier than Frank Martin did. But the Frank Martin fight was more entertaining than this fight, which is why Frank Martin got a Tank Davis fight and you didn't, right? And as I say, I like Shakur. I appreciate his skill set. I think at his age, he's very well over. He's far past where you'd think he would be at this point of his career. When people compare him to the second stage of Floyd Mayweather, that tells you a lot. Considering age-wise, he's still in the first stage of Floyd Mayweather, but he's already moved past that to become a far better fighter. But the problem is, he's never going to be a Floyd Mayweather if he doesn't get the big names and can't get the big fights, right? And maybe that's the situation he's going to find himself in, because you got Tank Davis and Lomachenko. The winner of that is by and far the biggest and best fight that Shakur Stevenson could ever expect. That fight is huge. I pray that's the fight that gets made. I would love to see him go fight Baranchyk in the meantime. But because he doesn't want to sign with Top Rank, now he's also in a position where Top Rank doesn't owe him anything. Top Rank is going to be more interested in pushing Keyshawn Davis towards a Baranchyk. Obviously, Golden Boy is going to be more interested in pushing Zepeda towards Baranchyk. He is the easy one, the easy fighter to get a world title from. Obviously, if he was still attached to Top Rank, then that would be the fight Top Rank would probably be making for Keyshawn Davis to become, for Shakur Stevenson, to become a unified champion, have more leverage, and literally be one fight away from undisputed. But then people talk about how it's Top Rank's fault that he's not getting the fights. It's not Top Rank's fault. Top Rank's not going to offer you a big fight if you don't have a contract with him. Like, why would Top Rank give you Lomachenko if you don't have a contract with him? And you could say, well, Tank Davis doesn't have a contract. Yeah, but the difference is a Tank Davis-Lomachenko fight is a huge pay-per-view, which is easily guaranteed to do well over 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Easily. Well over 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Maybe pushing as much as 800,000. 1 million? I won't go to that extent. But if they could do 800,000 pay-per-view buys for Tank Davis, Vasily Lomachenko, it's a huge success for both Lomachenko and Tank Davis. Shakur Stevenson, well, it may be one of the best fights, maybe the best fight that could be made. Would that fight do as many numbers? Some people say, of course it will. Yeah, of course. Shakur is a pound for pound. He's a superstar. He's great. But you're missing the whole point. Just because people appreciate you, respect you, doesn't mean they want to pay to watch you. Right? Some fighters give us the performances while others don't. Boxing ultimately is about entertaining the fans. Right? I understand defense wins. We've had this conversation a million times. Defense wins in every sport we talk about. But that's not what attracts the fans. What attracts fans is excitement. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. And remember to like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you next time.